everybody, I'm Jill Redfern and welcome to Third Shift Movement Shop, home of literal technique. This tutorial is about the basics of using Transversus Abdominis in our dance technique. In literal technique, there are 4 abdominal muscles that I talk about, and transversus is one of them. All 4 of these abdominal muscles stabilize the vertebrae and the pelvic barrel. Transversus abdominis is the deepest of the abdominal muscles, so we're going to start with transversus. I did a tutorial a while ago that was an introduction to this muscle that'll give you the basics of the anatomy. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. I'm not going to go through the basics of the anatomy in this tutorial. So transversus abdominis. Transversus abdominis originates at the lumbar vertebrae. Find the lumbar vertebrae in your own body now so you can feel how high up in the body it actually is. The pelvic barrel is here and the lumbar vertebrae are here. Transversus stabilizes the lumbar vertebrae. It stabilizes the pelvic barrel. It also assists in rotation of the vertebrae, but in this tutorial we're talking about its stabilizing job. Transversus is a stabilizer. It's a muscle we're going to use in any movement we do. Anytime, anywhere, any place, you should be using transversus abdominis. It stabilizes the pelvic barrel and the lumbar before we start moving so that we can execute movement using the arms and the legs. Okay, there's 3 things that should happen when you engage transversus abdominis in your technique. The first is engaging the muscle which lies on the sides of the body. When you engage the muscle, it compresses this aponeurosis that's in the front of the body back toward the vertebrae. The compression should be felt specifically in this lower area of the body. And the third thing that should always be happening is that you're paying attention to the neutrality of the lumbosacral joint. That's the joint that is between the lumbar vertebrae and the sacrum. It allows the lumbar vertebrae to flex and extend. And we do not want the vertebrae flexed or extended when we're going to be using the legs. So we want a neutral lumbosacral joint. So let's say it again. You're going to contract the muscle. This is the first thing. The contraction compresses the aponeurosis back toward the vertebrae, particularly down here. And I'm going to find a neutral lumbosacral joint. No flexion and no extension. So when I do those 3 things, what you should feel, again, is particularly compression down here, contraction here, length here. Length because the lumbosacral joint is neutral. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift my leg very slowly to the front. And those are the 3 things I'm going to think about. I've got contraction, I've got compression, and I've got a neutral lumbosacral joint. Slowly down, and all 3 things should be happening at the same time. Up and down, taking the other leg up, contraction, compression, neutral lumbosacral joint. On the way down, you're still contracting and compressing and maintaining a neutral joint. It's easy to let it go on the way down. On the way up and on the way down, contraction, compression, and a neutral joint all the time. So one of the things that's important here, and I want to back up to a conversation in other tutorials about the 33 vertebrae and their alignment. All alignment derives from the 33 vertebrae. If you've watched those tutorials, you know that by now. The lumbosacral joint is aligned before we contract muscle. Bone has to be aligned before we contract muscle. Otherwise, what you get is contracted muscle on top of bone that is not neutral. So in the instance of the lumbosacral joint where we're here, if I were to be extended and now I contract transversus abdominis, I'm not in alignment, which is going to really restrict the range of motion of my legs. So what you want to be is aligned, neutral. You're going to contract, you're going to compress, and the lumbosacral joint stays neutral all the way up with the leg and all the way down, so that when you come back down to two legs, you've still got a neutral joint and you're still using the muscle. In your class this week, visualize this on the floor in your pre-class warm-up and see yourself contracting, compressing, and maintaining that neutrality in the joint. When you get into class, the easiest way to practice this is going to be in the warm-up, either at the bar or the exercises at the center in a modern class. These are the habits you want to start to get into. It's not likely that in your early training, muscles were the topic of the day. I think without understanding where this muscle is and what it does and how to use it, all we're doing is punching in the dark, trying to figure out how to stabilize the body. So try that in your class this week, and I'll see you next week.